Alright guys, so we're going to look at Boxplots, okay? So before we do that, this is what you guys did for number 8. Hopefully you guys got the mean to be about 9.25. The average number of medals won in 2012 Summer Olympics was 9.25 medals. The 50th percentile was about 7 medals. The standard deviation you should have gotten was 6.6. So the average station, each country's number of medals won was 6.6 medals away from the mean. On the middle 50%, one was 7.5. The range was 25 medals. Okay. So when I calculated the IQR, I got it to be 7.5. When I did Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR, I got 22.5, which means that 28 is an outlier. When I did the other end, when I did 4.5 minus 1.5 times 7.5, I got negative 6.75. So I got none on the low end. So why do I need this? Well, it's going to be helpful. Like, why do we need outliers? Why do we need Q3, Q1? It helps us create this next type of graphical representation of data. And that's going to be a box plot. In order to know what the box plot is, we're going to need to find something called the 5-number summary, which we've already found already. It's the min, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile, and the max. The box plot is a visible representation of whatever the 5-number summary is. So let's look at this set of data. We got data that represents Bedford Freeman Worth's Instagram account. Okay, they have 10 random posts that they looked at and what their likes were. So we got these 10 pieces of data, and I want to make a box plot for this data. So in order for me to do that, first is I'm going to enter the data into my calculator. So I'm going to go into my calculator. I'm going to press Stat, press Enter on Edit, and I'm going to look at 19, 21, 18, 14, 15, 18, 8, 16, 11, and then 38. Okay? So then I'm going to take that data, and I'm going to press Stat. I'm going to go to Calculate. I'm going to press Enter on one of our stats, press Enter 3 times, or I can move the arrow down 3 times. And then I get this set of data. So I'm looking for the 5-number summary. So I'm looking for 8, 14, 17, 19, and 38. So I'm going to write those values down. So I'm going to go back to my screen. I'm going to write what those values down are. So I got 8, 14, 17, 19, and 38. That's my 5-number summary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that data, and I want to try to create a modified box plot, which is a box plot, just a little bit different than what you guys might have done before. I'm going to find out what the IQR is. So I'm going to take these values, and I'm going to find out what the IQR is. So I am going to take 14 and 19. I'm taking 19 minus 14. That gets me the IQR of 5. Now, if you remember, we can find out what the outliers are by taking Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. So I'm taking 19 plus 1.5 times 5. I get 26.5. So I'm going to look at all this data and say, is there any value that's larger than 26.5? And I would say yes, there is one. That would be 38. So 38 is an outlier. Now I'm going to look at the low end. So I'm going to take Q1 minus 1.5, or Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. I get 6.5 in that case. Is there any value smaller than 6.5? No. So there is none on the low end. There's 38 on the high end, none on the low end. So I'm going to take those values and try to create a box plot. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to identify my middle 50%. That's where my box comes into play. Okay? So I'm going to go to 14. I'm going to put the start of my box. It's going to go all the way to 19. I'm going to connect those two boxes, or those two sides of my rectangle together, and then I'm going to go to 17. and I'm going to draw a bar in between it. So I went to 14, drew all the way up to 19, drew a bar into 17. It's approximately. I guess it may not be the best. Now, because 8 is my minimum, I'm going to put a bar at 8, and I'm going to connect it to my graph. That creates one of my whiskers. 38 is an outlier. So what I'm going to do with 38 is I'm going to put a little asterisk right there. That represents my outlier. And I'm going to look at my data and say, what is the largest number that's not an outlier? And I'm going to say it's 21. So I'm going to put a whisker at 21, and I'm going to connect those together. So this would be your box plot for this set of data. Okay? Question B is asking us, explain why the median and IQR would be better. Well, in this case, this is a skewed distribution. If I were to look at a dot plot for this, you would see that it's skewed right, because we do have an outlier on the right end. So because it's a skewed distribution, that's why we're going to focus on the median and IQR for the set of data. Okay? All right, folks. You guys, I'm going to ask you to do question 9 or the next question. Question 10, I'm sorry. And we are going to talk about that in class when I see you guys next. All right? There is one more video I'm going to ask you guys to watch from the book. Please watch that. It's going to help us kind of compare some distributions, which will be helpful. Thank you guys. Have a great day.